So last week I watched the Wes Anderson film The French Dispatch, and while I wasn't blown away by it, I did make the point that it's not a bad film. It's just not as good as other Anderson films like The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou or The Darjeeling Limited. And it got me thinking about a film I didn't really mention last week, but which is another recent Anderson film, 2018's Isle of Dogs. So I thought, why not? Let's look at them back to back. Not so much as a direct comparison, but just to have a little theme going here, like when I did two World War I movies back to back recently, The Red Baron and Gallipoli. Isle of Dogs is a film you might have blinked and missed a few years back. It only made a little over $60 million, and that's a global box office figure, mind you, not just the US market, where about half of that figure came from. The film is stop motion in design, but features the voice talents of a usual Wes Anderson live action ensemble, this time around including Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Bill Murray, Jeff Goldblum, Scarlett Johansson, Tilda Swinton, Ken Watanabe, Frances McDormand, F. Murray Abraham, and Yoko Ono, who, I was quite tickled by this particularly, plays assistant scientist Yoko Ono. I randomly recommended the film to my work bestie recently, and her response was, "Oh, is that the weird one?" And I guess on some levels, it is. The first thing many people will tell you about the film is that all the Japanese characters speak their native language without subtitles, while all the dogs speak English. And this is true, and may seem challenging before you see it, but in practice, I think it works well. The Japanese characters' dialogue is often interpreted in different ways other than subtitles, or is so contextual you don't really need to know what they're saying in Japanese because you can just tell. And if you're having doubts, I myself wondered how well it would work before I saw it the first time, and I think it's fine. Quite clever even. Story-wise, meanwhile, in a fictional Japanese city of the future, an outbreak of canine flu spreads with the added risk of infecting humans. The city's mayor banishes all dogs to Trash Island, despite a cure being worked on and almost close to fruition. The dogs are dumped in the most appalling of ways, including one dumped in its crate and, unable to get out, is later found as a skeleton still in said crate. So, straight off the bat, although this is a comedy, there are some really rough ideas in play and you never feel quite safe and secure with what's going on. And that's actually a good thing. This isn't a saccharine sweet Disney kind of offering. This film makes you feel all sorts of real emotions. The dogs being dumped is only the start of the story, however, as a young 12-year-old orphan, Atari Kobayashi, who is the mayor's distant nephew and ward actually, flies a rickety little plane to Trash Island to look for his own dog. This leads us to getting to know the different dogs roaming all over the island, many of whom come from different backgrounds but are now forced to live together. It's an allegory that could be used in all sorts of similar situations in real life. And from there, the story takes on an action-oriented, sometimes political sort of vibe, believe it or not, which is probably the last thing you were thinking when you signed up for a stop-motion comedy movie about dogs in Japan. But I guess that's the beauty of Wes Anderson when he's firing on all cylinders. While you may start in some quirky territory, you generally haven't seen anything yet once it starts going places. And naturally that's where I'll stop talking plot to stay nice and spoiler-free here. Reaction to the film, despite that low box office, remains positive, even 4 years on, with 90% from 370 critic reviews, and a similar 87% from over 5,000 audience scores. And you know when audiences and critics agree on a film, there's gotta be something to it. Like The French Dispatch, I'll also happily say that this film isn't on par with The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou or The Darjeeling Limited, but it's also not several rungs down like The French Dispatch either. This one's a good one. Indeed, of the Anderson films made in the past decade, that's Moonrise Kingdom, Grand Budapest Hotel, Isle of Dogs, and The French Dispatch, I'm more than comfortable saying this is the pick of the bunch, followed by Kingdom, then Budapest, then Dispatch. If you like Wes Anderson style filmmaking and have a love of dogs, and particularly what it means to have them around you and part of your life, I think you'll eat this one right up. Or have you already seen Isle of Dogs? Either way, why not let me know what you're thinking about the film down below in the comments.